Good evening and welcome to this session of Tuesday's Encounters in New York. This program is presented every Tuesday at 7 p.m. New York time. My name is Mark Beecher and I'll be your host tonight. Tonight's guest is Mikel Lizarralde. Mikel was a gifted medium clairvoyant located in Spain. He will speak to us tonight about heaven is closer than you think. I know it's late in Spain, so thank you, Mikel, for joining us and giving the message that you have tonight. So if you could open your microphone and introduce yourself.
Yeah. Hi, good evening, good night.
Good evening.
Good
Early
evening. Yeah.
morning.
Thank you. It's really wonderful to be here and to be able to speak about life eternal, about the world of spirit. When Ernie asked me to give a title for this lecture, I thought about this name, Heaven is Closer Than You Think, because for some reason, a lot of people think, some people think, that when we die, we don't go anywhere. We just vanish, we disappear, nothing happens. We just don't exist anymore. And that is not the truth. The truth is that we go somewhere. According to how you lived your life, that's how you're going to die. And according to how you die, that's how, at least in the very first moment, at least at the very first time, that's the kind of heaven, quote, that you're going to find. We came from somewhere and we will go somewhere. We don't just disappear. Nowadays, we also have science evidence. We have the case study of Dr. Pim van Lommel. We have Samparnia. We have other researchers who also assure us that we don't die, that what they call consciousness remains alive, at least for a certain amount of time after the change we call death. But I have news for you. And the news is that not only for a certain amount of time, but also after, and years past after, we remain living. Maybe we should have titled this talk Life Before Life, because we were somewhere, we were alive, and we were pure consciousness. We were aware of ourselves when we chose to come here to the earth, which I know it's for some people difficult to realize this and to even be able to envision this, but we chose a mother, we chose a father, we chose family, we chose a country, a culture, a religion that will be able to give us certain experiences so we could grow as humans. And we chose to come here as humans in this specific world, in this specific time, moment on earth, to be able to develop and live certain experiences that we will not be able to live otherwise. So there were certain stewardess and certain flight attendants who came with us when we landed here on the earth. And those are our guides, our guardian angels, those who are helping us, and those who make sure that we will accomplish our missions here on the earth, because we do come with not only one, but several minor and several major missions. We are all teachers and we're all also students. The only bad thing, the only issue here is that we tend to forget. After the age of 7, 8, 9, we start forgetting why we came, why we chose to came, what do we do here? We start thinking that the outside world is the reality. It's almost like going to a movie or going to see a play and imagining that whatever is going on stage is the reality and that you're not real. Like in the Matrix, there's no spoon. Remember the Matrix? The spoon will only happen when you think about the spoon. So now we have the world upside down because we think we're so tangible, we're so real. Some people think that there's nothing else. But the truth is that nobody comes alone, nobody dies alone. We're always accompanied by our entourage, the stewardess, the guides, the helpers who are with us all the time, who are helping us land here on the earth, who help us grow, who help us remind us why we chose the missions, why we chose the family, why we chose the environment that we chose, and also will be there helping us when it's our time to go, will be there helping us make the transition to the other realm. Since 4 years now, I accompany a Canadian NGO who have been working with African children, orphan children in South Africa. And I kind of took on their mission. I kind of hopped on their board because after the what happened in 2020 and everything, they didn't have much help and they were in great need of help and resources. So I decided, because children have always been very dear to my heart, I decided to go to Africa and to try to help them in every way possible, not only in material ways, in every way possible, help this organization and help these children. Well, they really taught me a lot. These children, they don't have much. All of the children are orphans. Some of the children have severe malformations. They're born with two heads, with a big head, with a small head, with no arms, with little legs. The organizations receive very little to not much help, and we try to be of help, but they are always laughing, they're always singing, they're always happy, they don't have much. They don't even know what they're going to be eating that night. They don't even know if they're going to have a mattress to sleep on the next night. But they're always thankful. They're always grateful. They're always happy. I remember the first child I met, Sama, it's her name. Now she's 11 years old. At the time, she was 7. We don't know where she came from. We don't know her background. Her mother left her at a train station on the train tracks because the child reminded her of the child's father, and now she had a new relationship, and she didn't want to have anything to do with the child or with the father. So she hoped, that a train would run over her. When I met this child, I was really in tears. They cut their hair really short because of lace and everything. And it was our summer, but it was their winter, so it was 20 degrees Celsius, and it wasn't much for them. So she was wearing a sweater, and this sweater had holes all over the place, And when I saw that child with that hair, with that sweater, and I learned about her when I learned about her case, I started crying. And they have 10 or 11 languages in South Africa. English is not her first language, but in her broken English, she told me, please don't cry. Before I had a mother, but I didn't have love. Now I don't have a mother, but I have so much love. So to me, that was a great lesson. When you think about why should somebody choose to be an orphan? Why should somebody choose to come with HIV or with malformations or with that little child we have in Kimberley in South Africa? We have this child. Her name is Hazel. Hazel was born with 3 heads. She had no mouth. She had no nose. She only had like a big hole. And again, when you touch these babies, everything about them is pure love and happiness and joy. So I didn't think for 1 minute that they were lucky to have me helping them out. I thought, on the contrary, these are very evolved souls who chose to come to allow us to be in their presence, to allow us to be able to be of assistance, and to prove us and to assure us that even though their physical body is not perfect, no matter what happens in the outside world, their soul is perfect and it's pure. And every year I go, after I come back, my family tells me that I come back, but my soul doesn't come back for another month or so, because I keep talking about these beautiful children, and what they do and how they perceive life. And it's really thriving to be in their presence, because it shows you the power of God, and the power of being connected to the source, and the power of the power of gratefulness, and the power of joy, how by just being in the moment, because they don't have anything else. They can be so connected, and even though they don't have nothing material, they have everything, much more that we will ever dream to have, So I wanted to bring this up because I think it's important to realize that he did, she did, they did. No, you chose to be here because there's a lesson, because there's a reward, because you're walking through a path. So think about what is going on in your life. Think about how long has that been happening in your life, and why it's not changing, or what can you do to change it, and also change your perspective. Like these children, be in the moment, become the observer. I know it's easier said than done, but remove yourself from the situation and become the observer. So when you become the observer, you realize that miracles do happen, that we are never alone, that we are always accompanied by our loved ones, our guides, our angels, our helpers, that heaven is really true, that heaven does really exist. And heaven is not just an imaginary world that is true, or it's real, because I think it's real. Here in Spain, we get the 3 wise men come in January 5th, bearing gift for the little newborn God. And the children believe, in the 3 wise men, and they have so much faith, and they have so much, I don't know, magic in their lives, and in those days around them, that it almost makes it true. So we can see how by thinking about something, it's real for the child. And a lot of people think that the spirit world may be real because you think it's real. And it's not that. The heaven realm, it's here with us. Where is heaven? That's why I chose heaven is closer than you think, because heaven is not, you can call it heaven, haven, the light, the afterlife, the other realm. It has many names, but it's not just an imaginary place created to soothe me, or to make me feel okay with my life, and make me feel comfortable, to give me solace. No, it's real. It's happening now. Like I almost want to say, like wake up, humans, wake up. It's not some faraway place. It's not like Neverland. It's not like a fairy tale. It's happening here and now around us. We live in a multi-dimensional world. like in the Matrix, there's no spoon. So when you think about a certain situation and you try to remove, or you're able to remove yourself from that situation, then you ask for help to your divine helpers. You can know their names, or you can just say, my divine helpers. And believe me, they will take charge. They will take action. And they will help you with so many little and so many big miracles. I mean, I could tell you so many that I had happened myself in my life, because we're never really alone. We're accompanied. And in this realm, in this earth where we coexist, we also coexist with other dimensions. Something that we call locus, Pope John Paul II said, heaven and hell are not places, are states of the mind, our consciousness, it's consciousness. So somehow the afterlife is also about consciousness. It's also about being awake, and it's also about the state of your mind. So if you spend your life not being aware of your own self and hurting everybody and dismissing everybody and disrespecting everybody, you will have to face this. When you die, you will encounter all these people. I met this great presenter, lecturer, writer. His name is Daniel Brinkley. He was struck by a lightning twice in his life, and he had a near-death experience. And he told the story of a former friend of his who also had a near-death experience, and he was a former Vietnam veteran. So when he had this near-death experience, he was able to see all those people that he had killed waiting for him. And they weren't there pointing fingers at him. They weren't there to blame him. They weren't there to ask for explanations. They were there to forgive him and release him from his pain. That's amazing. I mean, when you think about it, they were there to release him from his pain. And they said, we don't need to be released. We don't need your forgiveness, but you need ours to be able to move on. And now go back to the earth and tell everybody what just happened here. And he became a presenter, a lecturer, a teacher, a great person. I cannot remember the name right now, but maybe it will come to me later, So what else do we need? We have so many people who had so many near-death experiences. We have now science backing up the theory that is not really the theory, it's really the reality, that we don't die, that we continue living after the change we call death. And we have so many encounters, so much evidence through mediums, through dreams, through out-of-body experiences, through astral traveling. So what else do we need? How many more encounters do we need to have to be able to say, hey, I'm awake? Because when you are aware that life doesn't just end when you die, your entire world changes, your entire perception changes. The fear of death changes. And that also makes you more difficult to be manipulated and to be played games upon. And it empowers you. And when your time comes, when is your time to go? Will you know what to do? Will you know where to go? This is a very important question. It's utterly important, my aunt in London would say, because nobody teaches us how to die. I believe that There should be talks in schools and in high schools about death and dying and mourning and grief, because we live in this very quick, very materialistic world where everything is put in the outside. We need to be the thinnest, the fittest, the smartest, the prettiest. Then none of that matters really when you die. Nobody's going to ask you how many houses you bought. Nobody's going to ask you, like that friend, like that person who killed so many people in Vietnam. Nobody asking how much money he had in the bank account. So in other words, how you live your life, that's what you're going to encounter when you die. And if you didn't do your homework here, if you didn't behave properly here, you will have to do it before you enter what we call heaven. But the truth is that heaven or the afterlife, whatever you want to name it, it's here. So we're all intertwined. And you can learn through prayer, through meditation, through breathing techniques to alter your state of mind. And instead of living a two-dimensional bipolar existence, you can have a much broader experience and realize that we have guides, that we have relatives, that we have elementals, that we have animal guides, that we have spirit guides, that we have angels supporting us, helping us. And in different cultures, they may receive different names. But there is only one God. There is only one creator. Yes, this creator received different names depending on the background. Some people call it the unconditional love. Some people call it the universe. But the truth is that we're all connected to this big matrix. But the matrix is nothing more, nothing less than you and me, you and I. And when we say, when the scripture says we're all brothers and sisters, it's not just a metaphor. It's not just an analogy. We're all connected. What I do to you, I do to myself. When I point fingers at you, there are at least 3 other fingers pointing on me. So this means that what I send out, I will receive back at least 3 times more. So, and I know it's very difficult, very complicated to not to resent those who've been hurting you, or not to resent God, or not to resent life because you lost somebody. But think about those African children. They couldn't be happier. And some, they don't have legs, they don't have arms. And they're just happy because they have love and they have one another. What great of a lesson that is. So every August I go back and I max out my credit cards and everything. But I cannot I cannot wait to go back. I'm dying to go back. Because they teach me and they reboot me, they boost me up, really. And they teach me what true, real spirituality is. So be sure that you don't have any secrets. Be sure that you don't have any unfinished businesses when you die. That's why a lot of people open up and tell about all the secrets and everything when they are at their deathbed, because you cannot really rest. You cannot really go to where you're supposed to go when the time comes, if you're holding on to the past, if you're holding on to secrets, if you didn't live a healthy, clean life. And I'm not saying that we should all become saints, but we're so connected to YouTube, and that's great in a way. And we're so connected to the phone and the this and that, Apple and those names I don't even know, that we forgot to connect to us, to connect to ourselves. So those that entourage that came with you and has been helping you out all your life are not going to be very happy when you die if you didn't even remember to be you, to connect to yourself. And once you do that, then you can open up to connect to the other realms, to the spirit world. The spirit world is not an imaginary world. The spirit world is real. The spirit world is a loving place. Some people have crazy ideas that the spirits can attach to your liver and they can separate you from your spouse and they can curse you, they can do this and that. And that is absolutely not true. When you die, you will go with your character, with your personality. You will not become all-knowing and a saint, a divine deity all of a sudden. You will be you. And you will have to encounter those people that you hurt or those people that you helped. And they're not going to ask you how much money you have in your bank account. They're going to ask you how many hearts you helped heal, how many people you touched, how much good were you able to deliver. And you will then go through a process where you will review your life. Depending on the way you die, you will do it in a different way. Some people see like a kaleidoscope. Some people get like a flash. And in a moment, they know everything. A lot of people talk about the three-dimensional screen that surrounds us and where they see everything happening, like Raymond Moody explains in his books. But the truth is that not every person has the same experience, but every person has a experience where they will review their life. They will see with their entourage what did they right, what did they wrong, how many missions, how many I can't find the word now, how many how much homework they were able to finish in their lifetime. And hey, if you didn't do it, you'll have to come back. For the soul, everything is about experience. For the soul doesn't really understand good or bad experiences. It's like an amusement park. The soul wants to come so badly because on the earth, the soul is able to have so many experiences, especially nowadays in these very conflictive times. The soul can advance so much in so little time because there's so much happening around us. There's so much opportunity for growth. You know, you have corrupt governments and you have wars all over the world. So instead of allowing yourself to be carried away by that big wave of the external world, you can stop it and you can start changing everything by changing you and changing your perception. And then you can open up to the spirit world. And if you do, they will help. They will assist you. They will be there for you. I have so many cases that I can tell you, but when you feel the little tingle in your stomach that you shouldn't do something or you shouldn't be talking to somebody, or when you have a dream, or when you get an insight that maybe this person is not to be trusted, that is your spirit guides telling you, warning you. The only thing is that we very rarely pay any attention to that. We think it's a coincidence. We think it's imagination. We think, you know, maybe I'm exaggerating. Maybe I'm overreacting. But then, sure enough, things come to happen and you go like, oh, damn it. Why didn't I listen? Why didn't I do it? Because the intuitive mind, the spirit world, speaks in a very subtle way, in a very gentle way. only when you really develop a relationship is sometimes, not always, sometimes more forward, a stronger connection, and they're always there. They're always happy to help. They're always willing to help, and they're listening. But we also have to invite them. The spirit world cannot live our lives for us. They can guide us, they can help us, they can keep us, and they will always do it in a loving way, but they cannot live our life for us. So in the end, after all the warnings that you received, if you still consider you should pursue something, you will always have your free will to do it, because that is part of your download kit. When you downloaded your incarnation kit here on the earth, that's part of the contract, the free will to be able to do as I wish. But that's a very powerful tool, but that's also a very dangerous tool, because it can annihilate you from who you really are. And we all go somewhere. There's no such thing as we vanish and we disappear. There are different dimensions, and depending on your consciousness, depending on your awareness, depending on how you live your life, you will go to either one level or the next level. It's often portrayed as a story building, wherein one level seems to be better than the next one, but truly it's not like that. It's not like a high rise. It's more like a bunch of bubbles interconnected, intertwined, and they can move from one space to the other, and they can help each other too, and we can help each other. We can help them too, with our prayers, with our wishes, with our rituals. They're always listening, they're always there to help. And I will never get tired of telling the truth. I come from a very Roman Catholic family, a typical Spaniard family, I would say. I come from a little town of 6,000 inhabitants. So when I was growing up and I was seeing my dead relatives and I was describing them, and I was giving older people in my family, big Catholic family, messages from their loved ones who had passed on that I never met, it was very difficult. It was very difficult for my parents. It was very difficult for my siblings. And it was very difficult for me, because when things happened, as a child, would think that it happened because I said it was going to happen. So I tried to like Peter, I tried to deny it. I tried to hide it. I tried to get rid of it. I asked God in my prayers not to be a medium, that I didn't want this to happen to me, because I didn't think it was a good thing. And I didn't think it was a good thing because I didn't know the phenomena. I didn't have access to the information like we have now with the internet. I didn't have access to anything else but Catholicism, and I didn't even know. I knew that Jesus was a Jew, but I didn't know anything about Jewish or Islam or I didn't have the richness that we have nowadays available in our world. I didn't have it at hand. So that could be one of the reasons, and the other one, not understanding the phenomena. I thought that being a medium was a curse. I blamed myself when things happened. And when the spirit world gives you a message, you have to have a lot of training not to get carried away because you will start feeling that you immediately want to give the news to whoever the news are for. And then it's like this yearning that you feel inside of yourself, that almost like a drive, that it's almost like you wanna take it out. So you will find the receiver, the recipient of the message, and you will give it to them. So I didn't know when I was growing up that this is actually not a very good thing, because a lot of people will feel like violated or disrupted by you doing that, but also you're interfering with their development, with their evolution, with their own mission, like we said before, with their own free will. And because I didn't understand how it worked, I thought I was making things happen, that I should not have said anything, you know. But now I know the phenomena after 20 plus years of being a professional medium. I think I understand the phenomena quite a bit. And I know the spirit world is a loving place, and it's a loving world. And they want to help us, but we need to be helped. But the spirit world is here. It's not just a place for some people. It's not just a connection that only a few people can make. You have the gift. Everybody has the gift. It's part of who we are. Like we can see, like we can hear, the same way we can smell, the same way we are able to move. It's part of who we are, being able to be intuitive, being able to do what we call prophecy, being able to be connected to the dreams, the dream world, like the shamans, to the spirit world, and have interactions with them, have regular communications with them. It's not a fantasy. It's not a coincidence. It's not imagination, although many times the spirit world will use your imagination to let you know certain information. It's real. It's you, and you have that ability. I don't like calling it a power, because I don't think it's a power, but it's an ability that we lost. And when we look at children, we see that there's still some of that spark that's still alive in them, but then we just become materialistic in the sense of the materialistic science and the materialistic world. Not everything can be measured. I'm not against the science, and I think science can really save lives, but not everything can be measured with the scientific method. The soul cannot be put into a testing tube. We're beyond that, we are much grander, much more magnificent than that. So trying to really understand the immensity of the universe from the materialistic scientific point of view is like trying to empty the ocean with a little scoop. You'll never get it. You will never accomplish anything. You will get tired of trying to do something, and you will think that little effort that you're making, that little corner of your world, you will think that is the world, but you will miss on the entire ocean and what the experience is really about. So I would encourage you all to learn about the spirit world, to call upon them, to ask them that you want to be in touch with them, that you want to be in communicating with them. Maybe it's important to add that you want to do it in a way that you will understand, because a lot of people ask for signs, but then they don't understand the signs. And I would encourage you also to get some sort of like a habit, where you set out the intention of getting in touch with your guides and your helpers, and you will see that your entire vision, your entire perception on life and the experiences about life will change. Sometimes the spirit world will give you messages that are not easy to digest, because life is about experiences. Remember that. So we are not just the witnesses to our lives. We are living the life, and the moment is now. Like for those African children, and you can really wake up and make something different out of it. So I think we have some questions now. Mark?
Yes, yeah. Are there any particular authors that you follow that to sort of understand and to reinforce your feelings about
Oh
the
yeah, of
helpers?
course. Yeah, of course. To me, the great Raymond Moody, who is also a dear friend of mine, Life After Life and Glimpses of Eternity by Raymond Moody. Daniel Brinkley has a few books, Evan Alexander, David Lorimer. I, I would ask you to try to follow the work of Sam Parnia. He's doing great work. I think he's in California or New York, maybe New York. I'm not sure right now. And maybe to quote some of the classics, maybe Allan Kardec and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle.
Okay. I know at one point you said that we don't teach people how to die. We don't teach that part of life, dying and passing over and things. And the thought occurred to me that we really haven't addressed that since the time of Jesus. We haven't really progressed in that regard in 2,000 years. Or do you think we have made some progress in that area?
No, I think we're going backwards, because when you look at the society now, you die. In the US it's different, but here in Spain, you die one day, you have the funeral the next day, maybe that day or the third day they bury you, and that's it. It's like nothing happened, nothing existed, death didn't happen, and you should go back to your normal life. But guess what? You will not be able to go to your normal life because you had something major happen to you. And we try to hide it under the rug. We try to act as if nothing really happens, because death is not beautiful. Because it's painful and we don't understand the process. When somebody dies, yeah, it's painful to us, it's hurtful to us, it's not easy, and of course you will miss the physical presence of that person. But when the other person crosses the veil, there will be so many people welcoming them, who will be glad and happy and joyful to welcome them on the other side. And they will be younger, they will be smarter, they will have no pain, they will have no sickness, they will have no illnesses, they will be perfect. And I think that's something that we should also try to focus on. But before, in the olden times, you would mourn the person, you will have the body there, you will open casket or not, there will be like process, like a grieving time, both for the family and for the people around them, or the peers, to adapt and to accompany and to integrate that process. But nowadays it's quick. It's very, very quick. When my father went to heaven in 2017, it was tough, of course, but it was very beautiful because he knew where to go. Even though he was very Catholic, very Roman Catholic, through me, he opened up to the spirit world, and he had spirit encounters himself. And because he had not religious, but that spiritual background, he was at peace and he was surrounded by all of us, and that makes a difference. And we told him what was going on. We explained to him what was going on. And we talked amongst ourselves about what was going to happen. And we didn't hide anything from him. But nowadays, it seems like everything needs to be, hidden and not talked about. And it's almost like it's not a natural thing to die. And people want to deny it, but you cannot deny it. So we need to be more aware that this is an integral part of who we are. And like I remember, when my father died, I have friends in Michigan and in Canada and in California, and they wanted to come for the funeral, and I told them, don't come because you will not have enough time. I know in the US it's different than in Canada, but in Spain it's very quick. 1 day or 2 days after you pass, there's a funeral and the burial and gone. So they were in shock, my friends. They said, we want to come and you're telling us not to come. And I said, no, because everything's going to be so fast that you will not be able to get here on time, And I think that we need to take away all the drama and take away all the kind of Hollywood decorations and stories that lie around the dying process, and try to integrate it. Funny enough, when my father died, my nephew, who was at the time 4 or 5, he went to see the open casket, and he greeted my father, and he gave him a kiss, and he said, oh, okay, you're sleeping now. I'll see you somewhere, sometime, somehow.
Mm.
And I thought that was so clever. Nobody told him to say that. Nobody explained anything to him, but he knew internally. Now he's older, he doesn't remember he said that, but he did, and he wasn't crying, and he was happy to say goodbye to his grandfather because he knew that sooner or later they will be reunited. And he knew because he brought that knowledge with him. We didn't tell him that.
Right.
And somehow we lose that, And yeah, it's important to know what is the capital of Russia, and it's important to know, I don't know, the when the historical events happened. And but the same way we explain children how a baby is born, how they should be safe in their intimate relationship and intercourse, we should also be able to teach them about the dying process and how to behave and what to do.
Absolutely. When you get a message as a medium from the spiritual, how clear is that to you, or how much interpretation do you have to
No.
include of your own?
Clear.
Very clear?
Very, very clear. There are different types of mediums, I always say that there are as many mediums as people are on the earth, because everybody will perceive it in a different way. There will always be a slight difference, a slight particular thing that you will do in a different way. But, a lot of, and it's true that a lot of the times the spirit world will give you symbols, or will give you analogies, and they will use your imagination to make you understand something. That's why training is very important. And excuse me, it's something that never ends. It's for life. But when the spirit appears, or when the spirit talks to you, it's clear, like day and night. It's when I see spirit, it's like when I see you. You know, sometimes I see them from the waist up, and sometimes I see them, just their face or from the chest up. Even when I see them in full body, I don't usually see their feet. And sometimes the tissue and the flesh here in this area is not as thick, but I can describe if it's white, black, Caucasian, Oriental, what they look like, what they say, what they're doing. That is what we call proof of survival mediumship. And the medium should be able to give evidence. The evidence should be valuable, yes, of course, but provable, and there should be some sort of guidance or insights. Think about your relatives. Why would somebody come to you and say, "Oh, you're going through one of the roughest times in your life"? No, if the spirit tells you that, they will also tell you how to walk out of that situation. They will give you clues, and some people find that fascinating because they think it's kind of crazy that the spirit world will give you guidance, but that's mediumship, and that's what they do. They will want you to get the best of the experiences that you can get here on the earth. So they will help you achieve that. Yeah. Sometimes parts of the message can be blurry, but usually, especially when you are a trained medium, you will get at least the majority of the message very clear. And also, I know, because of my training, like when is my mind wanting to say something and when is really spirit. The most difficult cases I had was to my own family and to my own loved ones. The less I know about the person, the better, because once you know something about the person or have a relationship with the person that you're giving the message to, your own emotions can get in the way, and because you don't want anything bad to happen to them, and you don't want to give them bad news. So you try to control everything. So then you're blocking the experience by doing that.
Okay. So if I don't have the facility to receive messages myself, and then you represent me to the spirit world will send messages to me through you.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay.
Kind of, yeah. I'm like a telephone, we call someplace. We don't call, it's difficult to call a person. We call the spirit world, and probably the person that you want to speak to will come. But first, those who have the need to talk, especially if there was something unsolved or there were secrets or there was something that was not cleared up, or they were not able to say their goodbyes, those people will come first. It's not about you or who you want to speak to. It's they that choose who they want to speak to here on the earth. And it's based on really being able to heal, really being able to share light into a person's life or into a particular situation. So it's not exactly like an avatar, It's more like a telephone booth. But you can also learn how to develop the gift, because everybody is born with a basic gift of clairvoyance, clairaudience, and clairsentience. Everybody has at least those gifts, it's part of who we are. But maybe you don't realize you're having those messages because we think, oh, it's imagination, oh, it's a coincidence, oh, it's a repeat. Those repetitive thoughts that we get, those repetitive feelings that we get when we say things like, oh, I have to call such and such, or I have to go to this place or that place or do this. And it comes often. That could also be a spirit message because they will use what you have at the level of your awareness, at the level of your own development and your own consciousness.
Is it always a thought that you're interpreting? Or do you ever have a sense that you're actually being physically touched?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Not long ago, I had this lady, I was reading for this lady, and her father was standing there, and he was very impatient. And I wanted to speak about other relatives. I don't remember who, maybe the grandmother or somebody. And then I wanted to come back to the spirit. But he was so impatient that he literally, and it wasn't my imagination, he literally pinched me.
Mm-hmm.
Physically hurt. And I jumped. And then the lady was like, my father pinched you, right? Say, yeah. He used to do that. He used to do that. So there will be ways their personality will come through. And when you see spirit, and I want to make that clear, when you feel spirit, it's not just an imagination. It's not just something in your mind. It's not just a thought. When you can feel it, and you will feel it, and you can get physical feelings. You can get goosebumps, and you can get like almost like a spider net. So we're touching your skin. Temperature changes. You might feel that you're being touched, physically touched, or hugged, or supported. You might even feel or know a presence, and of course, you often see and you often hear. And when you see, you see. When you hear, because they speak to you like inside your cochlea. It's very, very clear. There's no doubt. Oh, maybe they said that, but they meant that. No. It's very, very, very clear. It's usually like short sentences or short words. It's not like an encyclopedia, but it's very, very neat and very, very clear. And depends on the medium also, and depends on your day, because we are imperfect, and as imperfect people, we have different moods, and we have different days. Our days are different, so you're not always at your 100%. So you need to also learn how to acknowledge that in you.
You have to generally be in the presence of your subject, or you do this remotely also, or
yeah, I like seeing the person, but I really work through the voice, the voice vibration. So through the voice, it's like opening up a huge screen that appears in front of my face, and I see things, and I hear things, and I feel things at once. I call it the firework effect, because it's like so much input at once, It's not only like, oh, I'm going to describe that woman, and then I'm going to hear what they say, and then I will feel. No, it's like everything comes together, and you need to learn. You have to kind of undo it, rebuild the conversation in a way, because otherwise you can do it in a different way too. But I'm so afraid that I'm going to lose control that I try to go slower, and that's how I work. But I will get feelings, emotions, I will see things, and I will hear things at the same time. And I don't have to be in the presence of the person. I mean, as long as I have the voice,
Okay.
I like seeing the person. So, but I work online, I do Zoom, and yeah, I started with this Zoom boom in 2010, you know, because I wasn't aware that there are so many Peruvians in Japan. I wasn't aware of that. Yeah, and I started getting these Peruvian people living in Japan getting readings, and I found out about Zoom and kind of gave in to Zoom.
So each new subject, each new experience sort of reinforces your abilities, or even a discussion like tonight, does that help you reinforce your abilities, or sometimes get a little idea or a little different idea about, how you speak?
Yeah, I don't think that giving a lecture or having a conversation like the one we have tonight will reinforce the experience. But sometimes if you're doing what we call like inspirational talk, you may get some inspiration to say something in a certain way or to speak about a specific topic. Like there were a few things I spoke about tonight that I hadn't intended to, but you feel also what the people need to listen, and the spirit world gives you that information. So you need to be open to allowing new ideas also come, I don't like working with a script. I don't think it works because you connect at a soul level with your listeners, and the spirit world might inspire you about what they need to listen. But it doesn't like per se reinforce my ability. But doing readings and working on a daily basis in the mediumship connection, it does. It's like a language, the more you practice, the more you speak it, the more fluent you become and the better you become at it. And when you don't speak it, you don't lose it completely, but it gets rusty. You know what I mean? So by doing readings, and especially by doing readings on a regular basis and working with the field, that it does help. It does help you. I wouldn't say develop, but probably like increase your ability or become more fluent with your ability.
Do you get messages about just the world in general, about maybe things that might be coming up, a little bit of future knowledge of the world? Not with a subject you're working with, but just in general, you get a message.
Sometimes,
Sometimes.
sometimes, and that will depend on the audience. If the majority of the people or a big chunk of the audience are worried about international affairs or the state of the world, I might get that I had that happen a few times. I don't particularly like it much because I don't like that's what we call prophecy. I don't see myself doing that. But when it comes, I just allow it because I know that there are people who need to listen to, who will need to listen for that guidance. The truth is, that if those big governors and those big government people, if they knew about life after life, even if for 1 millisecond, if they saw into the spirit world, there will be no wars, there will not be fights, there will be no power over other people because they will understand what the truth is about, and they will understand that it will have repercussions and they will have to face it in the afterworld. And they will be changed forever.
We have a question here from Adriana. Does an unborn baby communicate with its parent?
Yes, that's very funny. I call them moon baby. I call them moon babies because when an unborn child, especially before before the month, the 6 months or the 5th month, when they come to me, I usually only see the face. They have a body, but they don't have a physical body. But this is just how they present themselves to me. So I see their face, and it's glooming, it's full of light, and they're usually circling around the mother. That's why I call them moon babies. And they do communicate, but it's not quite the same level of communication. It's more on the emotional level, it's more on the thought level, and maybe it's not as deep. But yeah, there are communications all the time. Sometimes the mother doesn't even know they had a miscarriage, and the soul comes, the soul appears. So it's like a little angel that will accompany the mother, and sometimes it's very healing. When the mother has remorse or is suffering for a decision they had to take, or just because it didn't happen for them at the time, the soul will come to give them solace. And they will explain, and that's important, they will explain why the situation was the way it was at the time.
Okay. Well, finally, from me anyway, spirits that incarnate, do they always incarnate as in human form, to your knowledge? Or
that's an interesting question. There are some religious movements that say that we can come back as bees or as frogs. I don't believe that. I don't believe in that because it's not my experience. First, we have to go somewhere. We have to go to the other realm, and you will stay there for some time, especially if you were very tired and you had a very depleted and your passing was very difficult. You will first go to a place of rest, and eventually, and mainly, not always, but mainly as a choice, you will come back. And when you come back, you will, to my knowledge, and from my experience, my point of view is based on my experience, we will always come back as human beings, yes. But we often see pets that will come back as children in another life because they're so humanized that we often say, oh, it's almost like they can talk, So those special friends, the furry friends, will come as children many times. But to me, coming back as another animal, another being, will not be evolution. We're constantly evolving. Yeah.
okay. Now I think probably Ernie's got information to post on how people could contact you. And is there one particular way you'd like to be contacted?
I mean, you have my website, which is mikellizarralde.com. It's in 5 languages. So I think that's pretty enough. Or I have the social media. But yeah, I think the website would be the best, no? mikellizarralde.com.
Okay, very good. All right, we have a small audience here. Does anybody have any questions? Well, I think Mikel, it's been very informative, very enjoyable. I know it's late in Spain, so I don't want to keep you up any later. But yeah, to me, it was just very informative, and I
Yeah.
sort of makes me want to pursue these ideas even further. So thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for inviting me.
Okay, very good. And
Thanks.
we will talk to you later. Thank you.
Okay, bye.